Okay, let's just jump right in. Picture this. ITC Gardenia, Bengaluru. It's November 8th, 2025, about 6 p.m.
Yeah, and the atmosphere in that room, it's something else, isn't it? You can feel the energy. It's the 35th edition of the Devi Awards.
Exactly. It wasn't just your standard award ceremony. This felt like a real convergence,
Yes.
power, talent, and just a sheer strategic grit.
Absolutely. And the whole point is honoring these women who basically didn't wait for anyone's permission. They're the ones who heard those whispers of doubt.
And spun them into these incredible roars of change. Change that you can actually see impacting things nationally.
That's it, that turning doubt into action. And that's really what we want to unpack today, looking at the 11 visionaries honored that night by the New Indian Express.
And important to mention, Kris Gopalakrishnan was there presenting the awards, co-founder of Infosys, chairman of Axeler Ventures.
Yeah.
Adds that layer of institutional weight, doesn't it?
It really does. And you've got to remember the history here. This whole thing started back in New Delhi, December 2014. And since then, they've honored over 300 women across 34 editions before this one. So this isn't new.
And Bengaluru hosting for the third time now after 2015 and 2024, it kind of cements the city's role, as this hub for modern leadership, for impact.
Definitely. We're not just talking about brief moments in the spotlight here. This is about sustained strategic impact over time.
So let's dive into that impact. It shows up everywhere, but maybe we start with the most visible arenas. On the field, on screen, on the page, these champions of public life and narrative.
Good place to start. Let's kick off with Veda Krishnamurthy, the cricketer. Her story begins in Kadur, Karnataka, and interestingly, she started out in karate.
Did you really? I didn't know that. From karate kicks to a cricket bat.
Yeah, made the switch at 13, a pretty decisive move.
And it clearly worked out. Debuted for India at just 18, I think, with a half-century against England right there in Derby.
That's the one. But for many people listening, like you said, the image that probably sticks is from the 2017 Women's World Cup final, that chase.
Oh, absolutely. That felt like a turning point for women's cricket visibility, even though they fell just short. She was right in the middle of that pressure cooker.
She was, and she just retired recently, July 2025. What's interesting is her immediate move into broadcasting.
Yeah, that transition seems to be becoming more common for top athletes, doesn't it? From player to analyst.
It does. It requires that same focus, but it's a different skill set, obviously, more analytical. Veda seems really well suited for it, though.
Okay, from the cricket pitch to the silver screen, let's talk about Shraddha Srinath. Her background is fascinating. Born in Udhampur, Jammu, and Kashmir, grew up moving around with army postings, places like Bhopal.
You can sort of see how that might foster adaptability, right? It seems key to her success across different film industries.
Definitely. She's managed to work successfully in Malayalam, Kannada, Tamil, Telugu, Hindi. That's not easy.
No, it's a very strategic career path in Indian cinema. Think about it. Kohinoor in Malayalam in 2015, then the Kannada hit U-turn, then Vikram Veda in Tamil, which was huge.
Right. Vikram Veda was massive.
And she's kept that momentum for a decade now. Films like Jersey, and even on streaming with Netflix's The Game, she's proven she can handle different languages, different roles. Real staying power.
And rounding out this first group, someone who shapes narratives in a different way. Anita Nair, the writer, born near Shoranur in Kerala.
Another interesting path. She came from the advertising world, spent years there before making the leap into full-time writing.
And you can almost feel that background sometimes, can't you? The precision, maybe, from advertising.
I think so. There's a clarity there. And her reach is just incredible. Ladies Coupe, shortlisted for the Orange Prize way back in 2001. That put her on the global map.
Plus the Inspector Gowda crime series, which has a big following.
Exactly. And she doesn't stick to one thing either. Poetry, like Malabar Mind, children's books. Her work's translated into something like 21 languages.
Wow, 21 languages. That's truly global impact from, as you said, those specific Caroline roots.
It really is.
Okay, so we've seen the public-facing figures. Let's shift focus a bit. The kind of grit you need there. It feels like it mirrors the courage needed to change things from within, to build systems. Let's talk about the architects of sustainable futures and heritage.
Yeah, this is a great group. And we absolutely have to start with Sahar Mansoor, the zero-waste wizard. It's a fitting title.
Her motivation is powerful, too. It wasn't just an idea. It came from seeing waste pickers dealing with hazardous materials firsthand, that visceral reaction.
That's often the strongest catalyst, isn't it? But she backed it up with serious credentials. Cambridge, time at the WHO, the Selco Foundation.
Right, and then she takes all that high-level experience and starts Bare Necessities in 2016. from her garage in Bengaluru. That takes guts.
It does, and the impact numbers are staggering, diverting 155,000 kilos of waste, saving 68 million plastic items.
But here's the deep dive part, isn't it? It's not just about the numbers. It's about how. She designed a scalable business model for zero-waste products.
Exactly. It's the system she built. And you mentioned that detail about her personal waste, keeping 5 years' worth in a single 500-gram jar.
Yeah, she apparently shows it off.
That speaks volumes, doesn't it? Living the principle. It shows it can be done, which fuels the whole enterprise.
That idea of combining deep personal commitment with a viable, scalable model, it connects nicely to the next person, working in cultural heritage.
Pragati Mathur, the weaver, a gold medalist in textiles, which tells you something about her technical skill.
And her work sounds fascinating, mixing traditional Karnataka fibers and weaving techniques with, well, almost experimental modern art applications.
Right. You see her tapestries at places like Hampi exhibitions. But what's really interesting is the depth of her research. She's literally decoding old saris under microscope.
Under microscopes, what does that actually involve?
Well, she works at the Registry of Saris, and they're using tech to map everything. Thread counts, the specific types of knots, the dyes used. They digitize it all.
So they can accurately recreate these ancient weaves and preserve the knowledge.
Precisely. It's about ensuring authenticity and giving future artisans the exact blueprints. And she applies that same level of detail to reviving other crafts, too, like the Chanapatna lacquer toys. It's meticulous work.
Meticulous, yeah. And taking that idea, preserving skills, but also making them economically viable, leads us to Mayurabella Subramanian, the craft catalyst.
Her story starts with a UNDP gig focused on rural tourism. That sparked something.
And then she uses her business background, she's an ISB grad, to launch the Craftsman Foundation in 2014.
And this wasn't just a small initiative. She built significant infrastructure. 20 livelihood centers spread from Bengaluru all the way to Kolkata.
20 centers, that's substantial.
It is. And through them, they've skilled up over 1,100 women and people with disabilities, teaching embroidery, eco-friendly toy making.
And critically, like you said, connecting traditional crafts like Chanapatna with what the market actually wants, making it sustainable financially.
Exactly. It's that synthesis again. Heritage meeting commerce, driven by smart strategy.
That blend of passion and professional rigor. It really defines this next group, too. Let's move into the boardroom, into the big institutions. The women steering large-scale corporate and systemic change.
Okay. And you really have to start with Hema Ravichandar here. Her role at Infosys during its explosive growth phase. It's legendary in HR circles.
The crisis captain, they called her. Taking the company's HR function from handling 250 employees to, what, 40,000?
40,000. Just imagine managing that transition. It's not just about hiring. It's about building and maintaining a culture during absolute hypergrowth.
So what was the key? How did she manage to keep the Infosys culture intact through that?
From what we understand, her genius was in standardizing the systems without crushing the spirit. She brought in professional HR best practices, won HR Professional of the Year 3 times, landed on those top 25 executives lists.
Right.
But she did it in a way that scaled the trust, the core values. And now she leverages that deep understanding of organizational dynamics as a strategic advisor on the boards of huge companies like Indian Hotels, Titan.
So she shifted from being the internal operator to the external strategist on organizational health. Makes sense.
Exactly. And speaking of systemic health, let's look at education through Nurain Fazal. She had this really global background.
An MS from Boston University, worked for Reuters in Dubai, Hong Kong. A real global nomad, as the outline called her.
And then she chooses to come back to India to apply that global perspective locally.
Which led to co-founding Inventure Academy in 2005. And that school is now consistently ranked among India's best.
It is. But the deeper impact, the systemic part, comes from initiatives born out of the school, like their Our Voice program.
Tell me more about that.
Well, it was so well researched and effectively presented that it actually directly influenced the development of Karnataka's official state policy on child protection.
Wow. So an educational institution directly shaping government policy. That's taking impact beyond the school gates.
Absolutely. That's real systemic change.
Okay, and the final person in this segment focusing on systems change. Deepthi Bopaya, the sports strategist. Her background's another interesting mix.
Totally. Grew up in the Kodava Coffee Hills, was a state-level tennis player herself, then had a serious corporate career as a VP at HSBC.
That's quite the combination. Tennis ace to bank VP.
and then makes the jump in 2012 into sports management. Now she's the CEO of Go Sports Foundation since 2022.
What does that shift tell us? From banking to sports strategy.
I think it signals the increasing professionalization of sports management in India. It's not just about passion anymore. It needs strategic, business-minded leadership.
Yeah.
And she brings that corporate rigor.
And you see the results, right? Supporting over 50 Olympians, huge names like Nikhat Zareen through their Girls for Gold initiative.
Yes, but her strategic input goes beyond just funding. It's about providing the whole ecosystem. Physios, psychologists, nutritionists, the complete support structure needed for elite performance.
That holistic approach.
Exactly. It's a highly strategic allocation of resources. And it's earned her recognition, like the Chevening Fellowship at Oxford. World-class thinking applied to Indian sport.
Okay, so we've seen leadership in public narratives, in sustainable systems, in corporate and institutional change. It makes you wonder, what kind of drive does it take to build something completely new from the ground up, especially in really competitive fields like food?
Yes. That brings us perfectly to our final group, the entrepreneurial dynamos. Women building thriving, scalable businesses, often rooted in food and agriculture.
And these stories often have such powerful personal motivations behind them, like Divya Raghavendra Rao, the dosa dynamo.
Right. Her story apparently kicked off because a professor once told her women can't run eateries. Talk about fuel for the fire.
Especially for someone with her background. An IIM Ahmedabad postgrad and a chartered accountant. If anyone could prove that professor wrong.
Exactly. She brought serious management and financial expertise to the quick service restaurant, or QSR, game. She and her husband launched the Rameshwaram Cafe in JP Nagar, Bengaluru back in 2021.
And the core idea seems simple. Great doses, but the execution is key, isn't it? That insistence on pure ghee, fresh batter daily, that's an operational commitment.
It's a huge commitment and likely a costly one, but it's clearly the foundation of their success because the numbers are just, wow, 4.5 crore in monthly revenue.
4.5 crores a month from a dosa chain. That's astonishing.
It really is. And employing 700 people, it just shows how applying that high-level business thinking to a beloved local food item can create massive scale. And now they're apparently looking at Dubai next.
Incredible. That blend, again, professional skill, local product, it feels like that also defines our final honoree, Chaya Nanjapa, the honey heroine.
Absolutely. And her start sounds incredibly challenging up in the hills of Coorg.
Yeah, the story goes she faced some really tough personal times and literally had to pawn her jewelry back in 2007 to get nectar fresh off the ground.
Imagine that level of belief and desperation. But she got backing from Khadi and Village Industries and just persevered.
And achieved something unique, becoming the first woman in that region to process honey on a large scale.
Which is significant not just for her business, but for the whole community. She sources, get this, 500 tons of honey every month.
500 tons. Monthly.
Yes. From over 100 different tribal honey collectors, she's essentially built an ethical, sustainable value chain right there in Coorg.
That's amazing social impact woven directly into the business model.
Totally. And she's been smart about diversifying, too, into jams, vinegars, and getting her products into high-end places, like on Marriott hotel tables. It's community empowerment combined with really sharp business strategy.
Wow. Okay, stepping back and looking at all 11 women, the sheer breadth of achievement is just staggering, isn't it?
It really is. We've gone from, managing the culture of 40,000 people at Infosys
to examining ancient threads under a microscope.
To building maybe the most successful dosa chain in Bengaluru.
Yeah. To creating zero-waste supply chains, launching sports foundations, writing globally acclaimed novels. It's just diverse doesn't even quite cover it.
No, it doesn't. But maybe the unifying thing isn't the field they're in, but the approach. That strategic thinking. Identifying a need or a gap, and then having the courage, the determination to take that first concrete step.
Yeah, it feels like they weren't necessarily chasing the awards or the spotlight. The recognition came because of the actions they took, because of the impact they were already making.
Exactly. Their work inevitably drew the spotlight to them. And those individual wins, they create ripples, don't they? Within their communities, within their industries.
It's inspiring stuff.
It is. And maybe that's the final thought to leave people with, These awards, these stories from Bengaluru, they're not just a celebration of past achievements. They feel more like an invitation.
An invitation. How so?
Well, think about the strategies we talked about, the systems thinking, The blend of heritage and market savvy, the application of professional skills in unexpected places, it makes you wonder, doesn't it? What's that one determined strategic step you could take next in your own field, inspired by these examples? Because maybe that single step is all it takes to start your own ripple effect.